And local supporters of immigration reform will hold a rally today. Organizing for Action is hosting a congressional send-off event. This is out in Murfreesboro. They're pushing for Congress to move forward with immigration reform when they head back to Washington. Now, the rally will be at Congressman Scott DesJarlais' office. That's set for 1 o'clock.
Nashville pastors, members of the NAACP, and a Metro Police commander joined a group called Organizing for Action today to gather support for gun control legislation and to help put a stop to violence.
What reasonable person could be against the gun show or be for the gun show loophole or internet sales of weapons? That's not a sporting issue. That's not
another
a gun
controversial
issue.
Immigration was front and center today at one of Tennessee Congressman's offices. The group Organizing for America held send-off events at congressional offices across the country today.
To support women and families took place in West Knoxville. The Stand With Women initiative is focused on women's rights and security and advocates for policies. It advocates for policies to help women. Organizing for Action in Tennessee sponsored the event. State Representative Gloria Johnson was the keynote speaker. Organizers say the goal here is to show people how they can get involved and really make a difference.
Happening today, Organizing for Action will rally on the steps of Representative Marsha Blackburn's office today. The group is urging Blackburn and other lawmakers against shutting down President Obama's health care law.
Rallied outside Republican Marsha Blackburn's Franklin offices this afternoon. A grassroots group calling itself Organizing for Action says their message for the Congresswoman is simple.
Today,
Enough
the group
already.
Organizing for Action targeted the Congresswoman's office in downtown Franklin.
On the steps of the old courthouse in downtown Franklin today in support of the President's Affordable Health Care Act. This group called itself Organizing for Action.
Protesters rallied to get a Tennessee congressman to change her mind on Obamacare.
Downtown this afternoon, the shutdown's impact on the military sparked a protest at the federal building.
This is not how adults operate. Certainly, that's not how our government should operate. We're better than this, America.
Organizing for America blames House Republicans for the shutdown. The group has close ties to President Barack Obama's administration. Today, it focused on the military impact, including furloughs and rumors of delayed paychecks.
These Republicans like to talk about how they support our servicemen and women and our veterans, but we see how they act. This is reckless. It is beneath what Americans expect from their elected officials, and we have all
A 73-year-old Chattanooga native led a rally today to end the government shutdown. Former high school principal and U.S. Navy veteran Franklin McCauley delivered his message to a group of Organizing for Action volunteers across from the federal courthouse today. Now, he said House Republicans, quote, must stop sabotaging our economy just to satisfy their obsession with defunding Obamacare.
The Tea Party is all about the Tea Party. High fives all around, Tea Party. You have successfully closed down the government of the United States, and you are hurting our country and our citizens.
In downtown Chattanooga today, a group tell House Republicans enough already. Organizing for Action volunteers spoke out against House Republicans, telling them to stop sabotaging our economy. The group's organizers say the lawmakers are just trying to satisfy their obsession with defunding Obamacare.
Are we supposed to sit back and say this doesn't matter?
No.
The Tea Party says it's not a big deal.
Oh, it is a big deal.
Tell that to the American citizens who are bearing the burden. Government.
Franklin McCauley is a 73-year-old Chattanooga native and U.S. Navy veteran. He is part of Organizing for Action as a grassroots-funded social advocacy group.
About the Affordable Care Act, the nonpartisan group Organizing for Action says the new law will help more Americans get better coverage and better insurance security.
Dozens gather in West Knoxville to support women and families. The Stand With Women initiative is focused on women's rights and security and advocates for policies to help women. Organizing for Action in Tennessee.
Women and families took place in West Knoxville.
Kristen, it's estimated around 800,000 federal employees are affected by the government shutdown, and there are roughly 25,000 here in Tennessee. Now, many of those workers have been told to stay home, while others are working without knowing when they'll get paid. And it's that kind of uncertainty leaving local federal workers fed up with legislators.
Not knowing when you're going to get that next paycheck does affect the entire family.
Renee Preciado is a service representative at the Knoxville Social Security the office and has worked here for almost 14 years. As a federal employee, she has been working without pay for the last 2 days, all because Congress still has yet to pass a federal budget.
Things are very unclear right now, so we just don't know which direction or how long this furlough may last.
A group of between 10 and 15 people held these signs outside of the Social Security office today, urging lawmakers to work to end the shutdown.
We want our representatives to sit down and negotiate something and stop just closing the government down.
The shutdown is leaving Social Security offices with limited services. Jim Nelson is a senior from Oak Ridge and a retired engineer. He has been looking into applying for Social Security. But last week he got this letter in the mail outlining the contingency plan for a government shutdown. Jim was told he won't be able to apply for Social Security benefits until a budget is passed.
My application would not be processed.
The threat of a long-term shutdown leaves Jim worried about his income.
I would have to dig down into my savings to a point where I don't know how I would eat.
And those with their paychecks in limbo echo those same fears.
How am I going to explain to the KUB bill that, sorry, I can't pay my utilities this month?
Thanks, Marcus. A group of people rallied outside the federal building in downtown Nashville for veterans'
rights. And locals
rights.
got out in the community to have their voices heard today. You can see some
Get
of the
off your
signs right
butts
here
and
that
do
read,
your job.
Do your job. Do your job. Do your job.
Well, tonight, many veterans are fed up with the ongoing shutdown. Several protested outside the federal courthouse in downtown Nashville today.
Supporters and opponents of the Affordable Health Care Law were both outside Congressman Scott DesJarlais's office in Murfreesboro Tuesday
Protesters in
afternoon.
Oak Ridge called out lawmakers this morning, criticizing their inability to end the shutdown. Organizing for Action Tennessee says they plan the protest to tell Congress to reopen the government, pay the bills, and get back to work.
Well, protesters came to Oak Ridge this morning to show their dismay over the government shutdown. Organizing for Action Tennessee says they plan the protest to tell Congress to reopen the government, pay the bills, and get back to work.
Tennessee are not happy about the government shutdown, and they're demanding that the government reopen. Protesters held signs hoping to raise awareness about how the Y-12 complex will be affected. Some 3,600 people could be out of work if a deal isn't reached.
Well, if you were out on Market Square this afternoon, you probably saw some volunteers with Organizing for Action. They were protesting the government shutdown. A volunteer we spoke with says lawmakers who don't like the Affordable Care Act continue to hold the government hostage.